Picture this. It's a misty autumn evening in the English countryside, 1327. The forests surrounding the royal castle are thick with shadows, and the air smells of damp leaves and smoke from distant hearths. Torches flicker along stone walls, but the corridors are eerily silent. A young boy, barely 10 years old, walks through the halls, his footsteps echoing like whispers in a forgotten place. Beside him, the court advisors murmur quietly, glancing nervously at each other. The boy is no ordinary child. He is Edmund III, the last hope of a lineage threatened by intrigue, betrayal, and political maneuvering. But tonight, the palace feels like a prison. Outside, soldiers patrol the grounds, eyes sharp, weapons ready, yet inside, the real danger comes from the people sworn to protect him. In the weeks before, whispers spread like wildfire. The boy king is fragile, vulnerable, expendable. And yet, nobody speaks directly of the danger he faces. In the dark corners of the court, plots are being hatched. The young king's future, indeed, the future of the entire kingdom, hangs by a thread. A king too young to rule, yet old enough to be betrayed. Before we can understand how Edmund III vanished without a trace, before we can see what became of a boy who should have reigned over all of England, we must step back. We need to trace the path of a child born into power, yet trapped in a world of suspicion, politics, and shadows that would ultimately swallow him whole. From this quiet autumn evening, the story of betrayal and mystery begins. Edmund III was born into a kingdom divided. The crown of England was powerful, yet fragile, and the court was filled with ambition, envy, and fear. From the moment he opened his eyes, the weight of the realm was placed upon him. The boy's father, Edward II, was a king of contradictions, loved by some, despised by others. His reign was marred by scandal, mismanagement, and rebellion. By the time Edmund came into the world, the country was already teetering on the brink of chaos. Even as a child, Edmund was taught the rules of power, loyalty, fear, and deception. He attended council meetings, observed alliances forming and breaking, and listened to the whispers of ministers who saw him not as a child, but as a tool to advance their own ambitions. From birth, a king in name, a pawn in reality. The story of Edmund's disappearance cannot be understood without seeing the treacherous court that surrounded him from the very beginning. The royal palace, a symbol of wealth and power, was also a place of constant danger. Hallways lined with suits of armor concealed spies and informants. Servants whispered secrets while attending to the boy king, and every smile could mask a knife waiting in the dark. At 10 years old, Edmund understood the power of silence. He learned quickly which words would anger his advisors and which actions would put him in danger. Yet, despite his intelligence, he was still a child, prone to fear, loneliness, and the longing for a life outside stone walls and political scheming. It was in these silent corridors that Edmund's fate began to intertwine with those who would either protect him or erase him from history entirely. A palace of gold, and shadows that whisper of death. The corridors of power were more dangerous than any battlefield. Here, the seeds of betrayal were sown. Even as a child, Edmund had allies, but they were few, and their loyalty fragile. The Queen Mother, the boy's nursemaids, and a handful of trusted knights offered protection. Yet, every friendly face in the court carried hidden motives. The Council of Nobles, each hungry for influence, saw Edmund as a barrier to their ambitions. Some planned to control him as a puppet king, others to remove him entirely. Political intrigue became a deadly game, where one misstep could mean death or disappearance. In the game of kings, a child is never safe. Edmund's life depended on trust, but in a palace built on lies, trust was a luxury he could not afford. It was a morning like any other when Edmund III vanished. Guards reported nothing unusual, courtiers went about their duties, and the king's chambers were empty. The child was gone, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a trail of fear. Searches were conducted, rumors spread, and nobles pointed fingers at one another. Had he been taken by enemies? Escaped in fear? Or had the court itself decided his fate? Every theory carried weight, and every truth was shrouded in mystery. A boy king disappears, and a kingdom trembles. This is the moment history lost sight of a child destined to rule, a moment where fear and ambition converged. Weeks passed, and Edmund remained missing. Chronicles from the time described sightings, false leads, and whispered accounts of a boy wandering the countryside or hidden in secret chambers. But no record confirmed his fate. Historians debate: was he killed to remove a rival? Did he escape and live under an assumed identity? Or did political machinations hide him away until he disappeared entirely from history? History holds its breath, waiting for answers. The disappearance of Edmund III is more than a story of a lost child. It's a mirror of medieval power, fear, and ambition. The kingdom never recovered fully from Edmund's disappearance. Political factions clashed, the throne changed hands, and England entered a period of instability. The boy king's absence reshaped the destiny of the realm. Even centuries later, his story fascinates historians and storytellers. A boy king, full of potential, swallowed by intrigue and mystery, a tragic figure who reminds us how fragile power can be, and how the ambitions of others can erase even the youngest lives from memory. A vanished king, a shattered kingdom, a legend that endures. Edmund III's tale is a window into the harsh realities of medieval royalty, where youth, innocence, and even life itself could be sacrificed for power. Imagine yourself in Edmund's shoes. A child with a crown, yet trapped in a world that values politics over life, ambition over innocence. Every smile, every promise, every loyal hand could hide betrayal. We remember Edmund III not just for his disappearance, but for the story he leaves behind, a tale of a kingdom where a child could be king, yet never truly live as one. History remembers, but never fully reveals the truth. In the echoes of the past, we see both the fragility of power and the human cost of ambition.